I was standing on a curb the other night waiting for a ride, and I was just staring at my phone.
Hmm.
And I had this moment of realization. We treat this little rectangle of glass in our pockets like it's a magic wand. You tap it, food appears. You tap it, a car shows up.
Right.
You tap it, and you feel protected.
It's the ultimate user interface for modern life, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's clean, it's predictable, it sort of removes all the friction.
Exactly. But today, we're going to strip away that slick interface. We're looking at the gig economy, specifically ride-hailing apps like inDrive, through a much darker, much more sober lens.
Yeah.
We're asking a question that I think most of us are probably too comfortable to ask. When you're alone in a car with a stranger, does that app actually protect you?
Or is it just a high-tech placebo?
Right.
And that is the central tension of this deep dive.
Right.
We're unpacking a stack of sources that were compiled in response to a genuine tragedy. A driver was killed. This isn't theoretical.
No.
We're looking at the specific safety landscape for drivers in some really high-risk contexts, places like Medellín, Colombia, and the routes leading out to San Jerónimo.
And just to orient everyone listening, whether you drive for these apps to pay the bills, or you're a passenger sitting in the back seat, or if you're just, interested in where tech meets the brutal reality of the streets, this matters.
It really does.
Because we're going to look at the gap between what an app promises and what actually happens on a lonely road at night.
It's the gap between a GPS dot on a screen and, physical danger in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And that gap is where the real story lies.
Our mission today is to unpack the official safety suite that inDrive offers. Spoiler alert, on paper, it looks like a digital fortress.
It does.
But then we're going to contrast that with the brutal reality of the incidents mentioned in our sources. We want to get to the bottom of what technology can actually do and where it fails.
And crucially, we need to extract the survival guide from all this. Because our sources don't just list problems. They actually offer life-saving advice that goes way beyond the user interface.
So let's dive in. When you open an app like inDrive, especially if you're a driver, you are presented with a lot of reassurance. I was reading through the official feature list provided in the text, and I have to say, if I didn't know better, I'd feel incredibly secure.
Oh, yeah. It's designed to make you feel that way. We call it the confidence economy. If you don't feel safe, you don't transact. So the whole app is built to reassure you at every single step.
Okay, so let's run through this toolkit because it is pretty extensive. First up, identity verification. It's not just upload a photo anymore, is it?
No, not at all. The tech has really evolved. The sources mention that both drivers and passengers have to verify documents, but specifically, they talk about using artificial intelligence.
AI for what?
To detect fake profiles or, data inconsistencies.
So it's checking if you're a real person?
Exactly. It's often called a liveness check. In the early days, people could create fake accounts using stolen photos or just static images. Now, the AI might ask you to, move your head or blink or do something specific to prove you're a living human being that actually matches the ID on file. It's the first line of defense. It strips away the anonymity.
Which makes sense. If you know who's getting in the car, the theory is they're less likely to harm you.
Right.
Then there's the surveillance aspect, real-time geolocation. Every trip has a GPS dot moving on a map.
Right. And inDrive leans into this with route sharing. You can send your live status to trusted contacts.
Like your partner or a friend.
Yeah. It creates a digital witness. The idea is that someone, somewhere, is watching your little car icon move across the map.
Then you have the accountability tools, bi-directional ratings.
Which is just a fancy way of saying, I rate you, you rate me.
Exactly. If I'm a jerk, I get a bad rating. If a driver is dangerous, they get blocked. It's supposed to be this, self-policing community.
Supposed to be.
And then the big one, the SOS button, or the shield, as it's sometimes called.
A panic button. Right there on the screen, ready to contact help or emergency services. It's the ultimate break glass in case of emergency feature.
Plus the privacy layer. The source highlights that calls and messages are protected, meaning your personal phone number is masked.
So a passenger can't stalk you later, and vice versa.
Right. And then there's the promise of 247 support.
So when you stack all this up, AI verification, real-time tracking, SOS buttons, anonymity, it feels comprehensive. It feels like a digital bodyguard.
It does.
Like you have this massive multinational corporation riding shotgun with you, watching every single turn.
And I want to be clear here. These features are real, and they're valuable. They're certainly better than the old days of just picking up a random stranger off the street with zero record of the interaction.
Absolutely. They raise the baseline of safety. However,
Here comes the however.
this is where we have to pivot to the uncomfortable truth. And the source material is very, very explicit about this. It calls it the reality gap.
Because at the end of the day, an app is just code.
Precisely. Let's break down the limitations that the text mentions. The first one is the difference between digital and physical. The expert voice in our source material makes this chilling point. The application cannot physically stop a crime in progress.
It's not a force field.
No. It can't prevent a bad actor from getting in the car. It can't turn off a weapon. It cannot lock the doors remotely, the SOS button. It's a signal, not a shield. It sends data. It doesn't send a physical intervention.
And what about that fancy AI verification we talked about, the liveness checks?
That brings us to what the source calls the verification fallacy. And it points out a crucial nuance that I think many users miss. Verification stops fake profiles. It stops bots. It stops people using obvious aliases. But it does not guarantee that a person with a real ID, a valid government-issued ID, won't commit a crime.
That is a scary thought. Just because you are who you say you are doesn't mean you're a good person.
Exactly. A background check is historical. It might catch past convictions, but it can't predict future intent. A person can be verified by the system. They have a real name, a real face, a real phone number, and still decide to rob a driver that night.
So that check mark just means identified. It doesn't mean safe.
You got it. Identified, not safe. And then there's the issue of authority. You press that SOS button. Who are you actually calling?
That's the other side of the gap. You aren't calling the police directly, usually.
No, you're contacting a support team. They're customer service agents. They're not the Fuerza Pública, as the source calls them.
They're in a call center somewhere.
Maybe in another country, yeah. They can try to coordinate with local police, but now you're playing a game of telephone during an emergency. By the time a support ticket is escalated, or by the time a call center reacts,
The event is over.
the physical event in the car has often already happened.
And this isn't just speculation. The sources bring up specific, heartbreaking incidents. We mentioned the driver in San Jerónimo.
Yes. This is the case study of where the digital shield failed. A driver, a colleague of the person the text addresses, was murdered. Now, you have to think about that route. San Jerónimo from Medellín.
It's not just a city drive.
No, not at all. You leave the urban density of the Aburrá Valley, you go through the tunnel, sure, but then there's stretches of road that are darker, more isolated. And if you lose cell signal, which happens in rural areas, that digital shield just evaporates instantly.
The GPS dot stops moving.
The SOS button can't transmit data. You are physically completely alone.
And there was another case mentioned, right? A female driver in Medellín in 2024.
Correct. And these tragedies serve as the brutal counter-argument to the feature list. In both cases, the drivers likely had the app. They likely had the GPS on.
But it didn't matter.
The technology provided data, not physical intervention.
So when these things happen, what does the company say? I mean, inDrive has to respond. They can't just stay silent.
They do respond. And the response is usually technically accurate, but emotionally unsatisfying. In the San Jerónimo case, the source notes that inDrive released a statement lamenting what happened and pledging collaboration with authorities.
Standard corporate procedure. We're cooperating with an investigation.
Exactly. But there was a disclaimer, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. And this is a critical detail the source highlights. inDrive mentioned they could not confirm if that specific tragic trip was managed through the app.
The off-platform variable. We need to unpack this because this is huge in the gig economy.
It really is. It's the elephant in the room. Often drivers and passengers will agree to cancel the ride on the app and just pay cash directly.
I've had drivers ask me to do that. They say, hey, cancel the ride, pay me directly, and I save the commission fee. Feels like you're doing them a favor.
It does. Financially, maybe you are. But from a safety perspective, it is catastrophic.
The moment you go off-platform, that digital shield, as porous as it might be, completely disappears.
No GPS tracking.
No record of who was in the car. No SOS button linked to the trip context. Nothing.
You are invisible to the system.
And the company effectively says, this didn't happen on our watch. And legally, they're right. If you bypass the tool, you bypass the protections of the tool.
It's a huge loophole. But even when it is on the app, like in the Medellin case.
In the Medellin case, the company reiterated that their protocols, the blocking the SOS, the verification, generally help the majority of trips end safely.
The majority. That is a tough pill to swallow if you're the family of the minority.
It's the cold calculus of scale. For a platform with millions of rides, a 99.9% safety rate is a massive success. For the driver who falls into that 0.1%, it's a total catastrophe. And this disconnect leads to what the source describes as the user reality.
Yeah, the text references forums and groups where drivers talk to each other, and it sounds like their experience on the ground is very different from the press releases coming out of corporate HQ.
It is. One major complaint is support latency. Drivers report that in a high-stakes emergency, support can be hard to reach or just ineffective.
Like getting a chatbot when you need a cop.
Exactly. Imagine your heart is pounding, a passenger is getting aggressive, and you're staring at a screen waiting for a support agent to type back to you. That latency feels like an eternity.
And the aggression factor you just mentioned.
Yes. Users dealing with aggressive passengers who pressure them to go off app or who get angry when a driver refuses an illogical or dangerous route. The drivers feel that while the app might react after an incident by blocking a user, it doesn't proactively prevent the violence effectively enough, especially in high crime zones.
It's reactive, not proactive. It cleans up the mess. It doesn't stop the spill.
That is the core frustration. The app is a great historian, but a poor bodyguard.
So this paints a pretty stark picture. You have the app saying, we have AI and SOS buttons, and you have the streets saying we have weapons and remote locations. If the app has its limits, what can a driver or even a passenger actually do?
This is the most important part of our deep dive. The source text shifts from analysis to a kind of survival guide. It asks, if the tech fails, what human behaviors save lives?
Okay, let's break this down. It starts before the car even moves, right?
It starts with a decision to accept the ride. Pre-ride vetting. The advice is to verify the origin and the destination very carefully.
But don't they just look at the price?
They shouldn't. The source advises a logical check. Does this trip make sense? Is it a short trip to a known dangerous area? Is it a very long trip to a remote location like San Jerónimo late at night?
So you're profiling the route, not just the passenger.
Exactly. The red flags are geographical. The advice is to avoid destinations known to be dangerous or routes that just don't have logical coherence. If your gut says, why is someone going there at 2 a.m., you don't take the ride.
Better to lose the fare than to risk the trip.
That's the idea. Okay, so let's say you take the ride, you're in the car. What is this rule of multiples that's mentioned in the text? Yeah. The app lets you share your route. We talked about that. But the advice is, don't just share with one person who might be asleep or busy. Share it with several trusted contacts.
Crowdsource your safety.
You got it. Create a safety net of eyes on your movement. If 3 people have your live location, the odds of someone noticing you've gone off route or stopped unexpectedly increase dramatically.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's the behavioral aspect inside the car. The text advises maintaining a professional tone.
Clear, respectful, but guarded. Do not reveal personal information. Your life story is not part of the service.
Right.
Don't talk about where you live, your family, your finances. The more a potential bad actor knows about you, the more vulnerable you become.
Keep that wall up.
And, crucially, trust your gut. This is something an algorithm cannot do. If something feels strange, the passenger's demeanor, a change in destination, just a weird vibe, the advice is to cancel and report with evidence immediately.
I think we're often too polite in those situations. We don't want to be rude. We don't want to kick someone out of the car.
And that politeness can get you killed in these scenarios. The source is clear. If it feels wrong, get out. Stop the car in a safe, populated area and end the ride. Don't worry about the cancellation fee or the rating. Worry about your life.
Now, what about the worst case scenario? The incident is happening. The SOS button is there. Do we press it?
You press it, but you don't rely on it. The source suggests a specific protocol here. Bypass the app.
Meaning what?
Meaning, in a true emergency, your first or simultaneous call should be to local authorities. The text specifically mentions 123 in Colombia.
Go straight to the source of help.
Yes. The app acts as a middleman. In an emergency, you cut out the middleman. Call the police directly. The response time will almost always be faster than routing through a corporate support center.
And what about documentation?
If it's safe to do so, and only if it's safe, create an evidence trail. Take notes, screenshots of the profile, maybe record audio.
Like a voice memo on your phone.
Exactly. But the priority is survival, not documentation. Don't escalate a situation just to get a screenshot. But if you can preserve evidence, it's vital for seeking justice later if you survive the encounter.
It's heavy stuff. It really forces you to realize that the gig economy is just people interacting with people, with all the unpredictability that comes with that.
And the technology is just a thin layer of varnish over that reality.
So let's synthesize this for our listener. Whether you drive for inDrive or Uber, or if you're just sitting in the backseat hoping to get home safe.
The main takeaway is this. inDrive and apps like it offer a suite of digital tools. The GPS, the SOS, the AI verification, these tools are useful. They are better than nothing, but they are not foolproof.
They're not a guarantee.
Not at all.
The aha moment for me is that gap. The gap between digital safety and physical security.
That's where judgment has to step in. The app is a tool, but the driver's the operator. The real safety mechanism isn't the code. It's the driver's intuition, their situational awareness, and their community.
It's a powerful reminder. We look at our phones and we see a safety net, but we need to look at the road and see the reality.
Exactly. Companies can verify IDs and track GPS dots all day long. But in the silence of a rural route like San Jerónimo or on a dark street in Medellín, safety ultimately relies on human intuition and community awareness, not just code.
And maybe that's something we all need to remember next time we get in a car on either side of the app. Technology connects us, but it doesn't always protect us.
Well said.
That's it for this deep dive. Stay safe out there, trust your gut, and look out for each other.
Take care.